Hi Potters, I'm going to show you how to carve your cylinder. First of all, you should have your design finalized in your sketchbook. You can see here I've drawn my cylinder, but I've also drawn a long rectangle kind of stretching out what would be all around my cylinder. If I just draw the cylinder and put the design on, I'm only going to have one side of the design, whereas if I stretch it out, then I know if this was wrapped around what the entire design would be for the pot. When you are drying your pot, or after you take it off or underneath the plastic, you might need to set it in front of the fan for a little while so it can get leather hard. Often the pot will stick to the board. If your pot is stuck to the board, what you need to do is ask somebody to hold it for you and take both hands and twist it off and then pull it up, and that will release it from the board. As soon as you can flip your pot over and let it dry upside down, please do so. What that does is it allows the bottom to get air so that it can dry also. If you don't do that, what will happen is the top will dry, but the bottom won't, and then it will end up cracking. So my pot is leather hard. And how I know it's leather hard is I can touch it without it moving. Also, I can touch it without having fingerprints in it. You can also tell if you can't bend the rim. Okay, so it's leather hard, it's still cold, there's still water in it, so I can still carve it, but it's not moving. You can take a damp sponge and kind of clean up the bottom, so smooth that out so there's no rough edges. And then we have a lot of tools here that you can experiment with. So there's this tool here, it's called a mini ribbon tool. See that? This is similar but a little bit bigger. We also have these fun tools that make holes. And X-Acto knives. If you want an X-Acto knife to cut away part of the body of the pot, just ask me and I'll give you one. So I'm going to refer to my design, and I'm going to take just this wooden tool just to sketch out the design. So I'm just really lightly sketching out the design. Okay? And then I'm going to start with my tools and begin to carve. Sometimes this is done easier if you kind of lay it in your lap and do it. And you know your pot is ready to be carved if when you carve things out, it comes off in like little shoelace pieces of clay like that. So we're going to spend all week carving our cylinders. So take your time and do a really good job. You can see what this is looking like here. Again, play around with the tools. If I take this tool and kind of spin it around, it makes these little circular indents. You can also take these tools and poke it through to make holes. If your rim of your pot is a little bit wonky, you can take a X-Acto knife and alter the design of the rim, so you could cut away to enhance your design. Once it is all carved and even a little bit more leather hard, you'll notice when you're, let me back up a little bit, you'll notice when you're carving that you might get these like little pieces of clay, we call them nerds. Don't mess with them while you're carving, because once it's a little bit more dry, you can take a brush like this and you can brush away those little nerdy parts, and that will clean it up really nice for you. So again, you have to do that when it's a little bit more wet. Your extra challenge is to create different layers when you're carving, so keep that in mind. What we don't want to see is we don't want to see you just carve out like a line drawing of whatever it is you're doing. Okay, so if I were to do this, how I could enhance that even more is I could kind of round those edges out and make it actually look like a form that's popping out of the clay. So you can see there I'm rounding those inside edges out. You can also take away the clay around the outside to kind of blend in the negative space. And again, this takes some time. We're going to be spending all week on this. Like so. Okay. When you are all done carving and you've brushed off all those little nerds and it's nice and smooth, you have good craftsmanship, then you can put this directly on the 2B bisque rack in the back room and have it ready to be fired. We will be glazing these with our glazes, not underglazes for this project, and I'll teach you how to do that in the next video. All right, enjoy carving, take your time, do an awesome job, and let's get to work.